you ever wondered exactly what it is that sets a professional musician apart from an amateur? Have you ever wondered how to become a professional musician yourself? Well, I have here 5 easy steps. These are 5 essential things that if you can get remotely proficient in all of them, you have the makings of a professional. Real quick, if you're new here, my name is Kevin Getz. I am a guitarist in a symphonic metal band, and I am currently making a full-time income from my music despite being relatively unknown. And this channel is all about teaching you how to do that exact same thing. If that sounds like something that interests you, be sure to subscribe and check out my other videos at the end, but for now, let's get back to the topic at hand. Also, be sure to watch this video through to the end, because every minute of it is going to have something useful to you. I am not going to waste your time on this. Alright, so the first thing that you need to work on is become a master storyteller. And what do I mean by storyteller? I'm not talking about like a lyricist, right? I'm talking about your actual story. And this is something most musicians don't think about, and it's not your fault because who would teach you to think about this? Part of what attracts a fan, part of what creates a bond between that fan and your music is not just the music itself, it is everything surrounding you. And, you know, more of the tips are going to go over this, but part of it is your band's narrative. It is what have you done, actually? What went into the formation of your band that made you unique? One of my mentors, I think, put it best. You have to become this beacon of light for the people out there who are similar to you. And essentially what this means is, what defines you? What is your story? As an example, this isn't a metal artist, nor is she even really relevant anymore as far as I'm aware. I haven't heard her name in 15 years, but the singer-songwriter Jewel, when she was first coming up, everyone was using this example of, oh my god, she's this amazing artist who she lived in her car, and she just wrote music out of her car and performed out of her car, and she finally made it big and got picked up, and all that effort paid off, but she was homeless. And like, you see, it's this emotional resonance that hooks you in, and it's like, oh my god, that's so cool, I like this music, and also it got a person through being homeless. You know, if you're a fan of Jewel, I personally am not, but you can see how this works, right? So yeah, what is it about you? You know, and then you condense this story into a narrative that you proceed to share with your fans, and we'll go over how to do that a bit further down in the video. Figure out what it is, what struggle, what thing did you persevere through that allowed you to become this musician that you are today. That's the thing that will allow people to say, okay, I have my struggles too, but oh my god, this musician whose music I really like, they struggled a lot, and look where they are now. So maybe I can overcome my struggles in a similar way. The second thing you need to think about is, does the production on your music fit into your genre's standards? And the more specific you can get with that, the better. So as an example here, this is, for anyone who's new here, historically a metal channel. Typically some of the more progressive metal styles, even though what I play is symphonic metal. And would my production be out of place in a progressive metal or a gent environment? Absolutely. But if I were to take a gent style production and apply it in a symphonic metal field, it would also sound like garbage. And I'm not going to talk about this for too long because I know I have non-guitarists here, but you know, the best example of this for my guitar viewers watching this, symphonic metal typically has much more treble and much more bass dialed into their amp tone, especially for like the rhythm guitar, than is common in like progressive metal fields now. And it's to the point where it's a very distinct and noticeable difference. Yeah, so if you don't do your own production, be sure to find an engineer who can get the sound you want. Don't just think because you play metal, you can go and find any generic metal producer, because someone who's good at one style may not be able to do another. And if you do your own production, make sure that as you're mixing it, you are referencing things that you want. Render your mixes, put them in a playlist, put the playlist on shuffle with other albums that are considered huge in your genre. When it kicks over to one of your songs, does it hurt? It probably will if you're not already thinking this way, or at least if you're not already mixing with this in mind. But that is essential to becoming a professional, is making sure that your sound fits. The third thing, and this isn't going to make sense at first, but it will, bear with me a sec. You want to have an appearance or a presentation that is consistent with your genre as well. So, for instance, me with the long hair, right? Like, that's definitively metal. And I know there are certain kinds of metal that don't do this anymore. They have just generic short hair. Symphonic metal, you still have to have the long hair. And the beard to an extent. I'm actually going to put up a promotional picture for you guys real quick. Yeah, if you're not in symphonic metal, you might think this looks really cheesy and stupid and dumb. Maybe. I don't know. I am in symphonic metal, so I don't think that. But the performance of this image in my advertising is phenomenal. Like, you couldn't do much better than this, because it resonates with my audience, because it is what they expect to see when they think symphonic metal. And as I mentioned advertising, and we are going to get into this a little bit further down in the video, this is why you need a certain presentation, because when you go out to attract new fans and new listeners, you're relying on image, among other things, obviously, but you're relying on image to make that first impression. You know, if someone's scrolling through their Facebook feed and they see a picture of your band, should they stop? Would you stop? You, I assume, like the music that your band plays, right? So let's say you were scrolling through your Facebook feed and you saw an advertisement for your band. Would that picture catch your eye and make you stop scrolling? If not, you need to work on your image. And this is not some shallow image first advice. It is image also. Music has to be good. Image will not sell bad music, but good music will not sell despite a bad image. The fourth thing is that you must include a unique twist on your genre. You cannot just be another whatever band, at least not if that band is current. If, however, you have observed that a band has maybe strayed from their roots and alienated a large portion of their fan base, you can absolutely come in with the approach of, hey, remember when this band we all like was good? Check out my music. I've run with that a bit. It works okay. It can be very effective. I have a friend who is killing it with that approach. So do think that way. But you cannot, like, gent guys, right? You cannot go out there and be like, we're another Periphery, because people would just listen to Periphery. You're not good enough to dethrone a classic who is still doing everything that people love them for doing. Now, if you were to put a twist on it and say, we're like Periphery, but without the off-putting vocals, that might get you some interest, right? In my case, you know, the brand of symphonic metal that my band plays is much, much more guitar-driven and much more challenging from a guitar standpoint. I think that symphonic metal is notorious for comparatively boring guitar parts, and I never liked that sound myself, so that was me saying, okay, here's kind of a hole in the genre that something needs to come in and fill. Guess I'll do it. So what is your unique twist? What is it about you that makes your music sound like not just another generic band in your genre? And if you can't answer that question, I mean, it could be that you just haven't thought about it enough. There's almost always a unique twist. I work with a lot of clients who definitely do have a unique twist. They just don't always know it. Or 1% chance, but I still should mention it, you actually are just writing some very derivative music and should work on your songwriting. I'm sorry. And 5, here's where we tie it all together. You need to have a cohesive plan to market your music. You have to have a strategy. You have to be able to know step by step, this is how I take all this stuff, package it, and send it out into the internet and bring people to me. You cannot any longer just put your music out there on YouTube and Spotify and Bandcamp and iTunes and just hope that the right person stumbles onto you at the right time. That just does not happen anymore. I'm sorry. I wish it did. A lot of musicians I know would be doing a lot better if it did. Shut up, phone. However, what we can do is be proactive. There are a number of ways to do this, and I do have videos that go over this a little bit on my channel. You know, I've talked a little about YouTube, a little bit about Facebook advertising, but putting it all together, putting together everything we've talked about. What is your story? What is your image? How do you tell that story? How do you find people? How do you get in people's faces and in their Facebook feeds and be like, hey, stop what you're doing, listen to me, check out my music, you'll love it. And there's a number of resources for this. You can absolutely just check out more videos on my channel. A lot has changed since some of those videos have come out, and I do plan to redo or update a number of them. My personal resource is a course called Music Marketing Manifesto, which, after learning all of this and putting it into action, I started making a profit from my advertising within the first month, I believe. I do have a review of Music Marketing Manifesto up on my channel, and if you decide that you're definitely going to sign up regardless, and you want to help me out, I do have a link where I get a small commission for anyone who signs up through it. That link will be probably in the comments below. As I said, it's my personal strategy. I know that it works, that's why I recommend it. I just use the affiliate commission to keep this channel going because I do have to invest a lot of time into this channel to make a video. However, if it just doesn't resonate with you, if it doesn't feel right, there are other options. I cannot speak to their efficiency, so I'm reluctant to recommend them just because, like, I don't want to say, oh, go check out this course that I haven't personally used and I can't personally vouch for, but I've heard good things about it, maybe, you know. But do your own research, definitely. But yeah, as far as a cohesive marketing strategy, that's my opinion where you would find the best one, because I know that it works. And it teaches you all about all these things we've been discussing. But hey, that's just my opinion. So this has been 5 tips to become a professional musician. If you master or even get reasonably proficient at these 5 things, you can achieve a lot. Question of the day. Are you already doing any of these 5 things? If so, which one? Also, are there any other things you feel are essential to become a professional musician? If so, mention them in the comments. I want to know what you think it takes to make it in the music industry now. Please be sure to check out some other videos on my channel if you liked this one, subscribe, like this video, and I will see you in the next one.